The Detroit Lions might have built the NFL's scariest offense, but their Super Bowl dream could collapse because of one brutal weakness. Dan Campbell's monster machine may have a fatal crack nobody can ignore.
And we're actually starting off with the Lions. They went 9-8 last season, and Doug, it feels like injury. That was the biggest thing here, but not that far removed from that NFC Championship team that we saw, where they had a lot of juice, and Dan Campbell was really able to turn this thing around in, a year or two.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Detroit Lions, quite honestly. Jared Goff is back, and I don't think their issues really are on offense. I think what happened last year was defensively, and how the injuries that just plagued that team, really the last couple of seasons, and that's kind of what you saw last year in Detroit. And these guys are going to be back. I think they, again, with Jared running the helm there and getting back on the field with his guys, I knew they did lose some top quality players, that helped them get to one of the top teams in the NFC. But not worried too much about Detroit. Dan Campbell is going to get these guys fired up, and I'm looking forward to seeing them rebound this year.
The question becomes, though, you mentioned the defense. Now, Terrion Arnold obviously isn't there now,
yeah.
So the cornerback position, which has been a problem, is still a concern for them. The other thing is they're moving Penei Sewell from right tackle to left tackle. He's going to be fine there, but now how did he play the rookie at right tackle? How's that all work out? The other issue is the division. The division is brutal. I mean, you look at that division from top to bottom. You're talking about the Bears on the way up, the Vikings get Murray, and then you have the Packers who are coming back, and they have a ton of talent. So it's tough in that division. It's going to be hard to go from last to first, but of all these teams, I think they have the best chance.
I agree with you. It's one of the better divisions, one of the top divisions, I think, to really watch this upcoming season, how this this whole thing unfolds, and what Chicago did last year, and the opportunities they have and the additions they've made. And listen, this is the time of year where there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of excitement around every organization in the National Football League. But I think, to your point, I think you focus on this division and Detroit and Chicago and Green Bay. Green Bay's got to rebound just a little bit. They're eager to get back to the postseason, obviously, and try to win a championship up there.
And we've had different iterations of this discussion. And it's something, Sean, because, and I'll qualify it and preface it by saying, I do believe that this regime will win a Super Bowl here in Detroit. I do believe that. But the question that's on this sheet is the question I can't get past, and I can't answer you with a yes. Can the Lions win a Super Bowl with this defense?
I love that question. Props to you, Joey.
They cannot.
Thanks. No, they cannot.
They cannot win a Super Bowl with this defense.
Nope,
they can't.
Not this year. I have nothing more to add to what you just said than to agree with you. I do believe in this brain trust. This is very reminiscent of 2024 to me right now. And it was hard not to get caught up in it. I mean, the Lions we had one loss at the time. And I think we needed to see the Buffalo game, whether we wanted to admit it or not. We needed to see the Buffalo game to remind us that defense isn't winning dick.
Right.
And then you know what we did? Then we won after that. And we ran past Minnesota in that winner-take-all game. And I think some people got sucked in. But I think this goes hand in hand. KG, you've been consistent about this for a long time, okay? This is going to be a really good team. I firmly believe it. This is going to be a playoff team, but this is not a year to win a Super Bowl.
No, I don't think so.
And I don't like saying that, but Joey, that's a great question because it's better to confess today. It is. It's better to confess today. I do not see how this defense wins a Super Bowl.
And I can't go anywhere with it, Sean. I can't give you a counterpoint. I can't.
Are we going to pin our ears back and really go mad rushing the quarterback? Is that going to happen? Well, now you're entering things that we haven't seen.
Right.
And things that go against what they've run. Now, Neil, another unseen. Is it possible that they go out and make some big splash? They make a giant trade to improve it? Of course. But all I can do is base this on the question that Joey asked on July 14th. On July 14th, I don't know how any human being could say, yeah, man, yeah, this is a defense that can win a Super Bowl. I don't know how you can say that.
DNCENT, okay, Neil, then no. If you don't win a playoff game this year, either Brad or Dan are gone. They are not.
No.
We aren't winning a
It's gonna
championship.
take a lot more for that.
We aren't winning a championship under both of them. See their contracts. No, and that's to say, I expect them to win a playoff game.
I do too.
Yeah, I expect them to win a playoff
I
game.
do
Better.
Yeah.
They
Like
better.
if they don't, like, are people going to be fired?
No.
No,
No.
people won't be fired.
There'll be talk, though.
I can't.
The Detroit Lions might have built one of the most dangerous offenses in football. But there is one terrifying question hanging over this team. Can a championship offense survive with a defense that still has major doubts? Because Detroit is no longer a rebuilding franchise. That chapter is finished. Dan Campbell changed everything. A team that was once the laughingstock of the NFL became an NFC powerhouse. They reached the NFC Championship game. They created belief. They created fear. But after finishing 9-8 last season, the Lions are entering a completely different phase. The expectation is no longer to improve. The expectation is to win. And that is where the pressure begins. Jared Goff is back. The offense is still loaded. The culture is still strong. But the biggest question remains, is this Lions defense good enough to defeat the best quarterbacks in football when everything is on the line? Because that is what separates good teams from champions. And right now, that answer is still unclear. But before we criticize Detroit's defense, we have to understand why last season went wrong. Because this team did not collapse because of a lack of talent. When people look at Detroit's 9-8 record, they see a team that failed. But inside the building, the story is different. The Lions were hit hard by injuries. A team that looked like a championship contender suddenly had holes everywhere. And that changed everything. The important thing is this: the foundation is still there. Jared Goff remains the leader. Dan Campbell remains the heartbeat of the team. And the offense remains one of the biggest reasons why people believe Detroit can bounce back. This is still a physical football team. A team built around toughness. A team built around aggression. A team that refuses to back down. But injuries also revealed the biggest weakness. The Lions can score. The Lions can dominate. The Lions can control games. But can their defense close games? That is the question nobody can ignore. And when we look at the roster, one position group creates the biggest concern for Detroit's championship hopes. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The Lions look like a Super Bowl team on offense, but defense wins championships. And Detroit still has something to prove. The biggest concern starts in the secondary. The loss of Terrion Arnold creates questions. The cornerback position remains one of the biggest challenges heading into the season. Because in the playoffs, elite quarterbacks attack weaknesses. They find the matchup, but they expose the mistake. One bad coverage, one missed tackle, one explosive play, and suddenly the entire season can disappear. We saw something similar during the 2024 season. Detroit looked unstoppable. The excitement was everywhere. Fans believed this was finally the year. But then came the Buffalo game. That matchup exposed a problem. Against elite competition, the defense had trouble controlling the game. The Lions recovered. They finished strong. They defeated Minnesota in a winner-take-all situation. But the concern remained. Can this defense survive 4 playoff games against the best teams in football? Right now. That is the biggest reason some people hesitate to call Detroit a Super Bowl favorite, and Detroit's challenge becomes even harder because they no longer have an easy road inside their own division. The NFC North is no longer Detroit's playground. It has become one of the toughest divisions in football. The Chicago Bears are improving. They have added talent and believe they are ready to compete. The Green Bay Packers remain dangerous. They have young talent,
strong coaching, and championship expectations.
The Minnesota Vikings are still a difficult opponent.
Every team in this division believes they can win.
And that changes everything.
Detroit cannot afford mistakes. They cannot afford another season where injuries destroy momentum.
They cannot afford a defense that disappears against elite opponents.
Because the margin between winning the division and missing the playoffs is becoming smaller. The Lions are still the team with the strongest argument.
But this is no longer an easy path.
The NFC North is coming, and now comes the biggest question surrounding this Lions era. What happens if they fail to take the final step? Nobody expects Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes to lose their jobs. That is not the conversation. This organization has built something special. They changed Detroit football forever. But success changes expectations. A rebuilding team celebrates progress. A championship team is judged by trophies.
The Lions are now in that second category.
If they fail to win a playoff game, questions will begin.
Not because the team is bad,
But because the standard has changed.
the offense looks like a championship offense.
The coaching looks like championship coaching.
The culture looks like championship culture.
But the defense still has to prove it belongs. Because the NFL is brutal. Almost winning is forgotten. Being close is not enough.
The Lions have built the machine.
They have built the monster. Now they have to prove the monster can survive January. Because their Super Bowl dream may not be destroyed by another team. It may be destroyed by the one weakness they still cannot fix. Detroit is closer than ever.
But the final step is always the hardest.
And for the Lions,
The difference between becoming champions and becoming another what-if story may come down to one thing.
can their defense finally become as dangerous as their offense?
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.